And here we go. All right. Is this microphone on? We are going to start our very first episode of the Blue Ox Running Podcast. My name is Adam. What is your name, Little Miss Sunshine?
My name is Alicia.
All right. We got Adam and Alicia here. Alicia, give me one word that describes, before we get started, that describes your running for this week. One word.
Steady.
Steady. Just give me one word that describes how your day's going.
I'm feeling bloated.
Bloated? All right, let's get back to those words, but we're going to start the podcast. Here's the opening song. You're going to get used to this, everybody. Here we go. So what's your spring running goal?
To qualify for the Boston Marathon.
Claim the beer mile title.
Training for a triathlon.
20 minutes again under a 5K.
To run happy.
Balance running and family.
Finish Grandma's marathon.
To not die.
Fast.
Or slow.
Let's go! Fast or slow? Let's go! Fast or slow? Let's go!
All right. Yes, welcome to episode 1. Welcome to episode 1 of the Blue Ox Running Podcast. Yes, that's right. You heard it right. Those were some oxen mooing in the background there. You're going to get used to a lot of mooing, a lot of ox references. I hope you guys know where that comes from. We are the owners of Blue Ox Running here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We're a specialty running store. And our herd, or what we call our herd, is kind of our group run or our customer base. Anybody that comes into our door is part of the herd here. So we have a couple of play on words with oxen and the herd, and we hear from the herd. And we're going to use this podcast to kind of hear some different stories from our herd. So, but let's get back to your word. You feel very bloated right now, apparently. What's that all about?
We had a good Super Bowl party, and I ate the leftover taco dip from Sunday.
All right. So post Super Bowl, first of all, how much of the Super Bowl did you actually watch? 60 minutes of game time.
3.
3 minutes?
Yeah, the last
We were all there at the fourth quarter.
I came in with 4 minutes on the clock, and then
Okay.
I probably got up a couple more times.
All right. So were you excited about Tom Brady winning another Super Bowl, or could you care less?
I was excited that he won another Super Bowl.
We actually kind of like watching the Patriots kind of do their thing. If the point of football is to win the football game, how can you hate on someone that's actually doing what they're supposed to do? Anyway, this podcast is not about football. It's about running and our running store and your stories. And what we want to do in this first episode is something a little bit different. We don't have a guest today. We will have a guest on episode 2, and we're going to actually release these first 2 episodes at the same time. So when you're done listening to this, give us I'm going to give you just a quick overview of like who we are and why we're doing this, and then go ahead and listen to episode number 2. It's awesome. It's with I'm not even going to tell you. Actually, now that they're both released. We're going to have Matt Evans on for episode 2 as our first interview. So when you're done with this, go listen to that. But for now, let's just give them an introduction to kind of who we are. Some people know who we are and what our store is about more than others, because maybe they've been in our group run or they've been on the website. But for folks that don't really know what the heck we're doing here, Alicia, how did you come into run specialty, into running and eventually owning your own store?
Yeah, I actually started out as a little tyke skate skiing. My parents were in that era of learning how to skate ski, and they taught it to myself and my brothers. And then that eventually led into running because both my brothers did cross country. So once again, just kind of following in their footsteps. So I ran some middle school cross country, which led to high school cross country, and then college cross country.
What was the best thing about college cross country?
Are you looking for a certain answer?
I think I am.
Meeting Mr. Adam Condit.
That's my answer too, kind
so
of.
that's how we met. And then beyond there, we moved out to DC, and I started working in a run specialty store there, Potomac River Running. And
shout out to Ray and Kathy and Brendan and Margie.
Yes, and Ray turned 50.
I saw that. I saw that on
this year.
Facebook today.
Side note, so
50 years
huge,
old.
and he's still an amazing runner. But so we were kind of under their wing. That's where I got all of my training for the gait analysis and just seeing what a specialty running store is about. Had our first child, Shane, out there, which he is now almost 9. And then I kind of assisted Kathy, one of the owners, in kind of doing some of her admin stuff. So it got a kind of business side look at it at that point as well. And as far as like my racing and stuff goes, I kind of took a back seat when we had kids. I think I did one half after I had Shane, and I remember having to nurse him like right after the race.
Right,
it was hard.
and before.
Yes. And so I took a back seat from racing just because after I had Shane and baby number 2 and baby number 3, then it felt like kind of impossible for me to train. I know everyone's totally different. So I'm just getting back into it. That's why my word was steady. I've been slowly building, and I'm really looking forward to actually give my first try at racing again this spring. So I'm super excited about that. I'm like excited about running again because there's a lot of highs and lows as you get to know us more. I haven't just always loved running.
Right.
So, and you can hear more about that a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will hear about some of that, especially the last year with Alicia. She had some health problems, and it's been really awesome for me, being not her, but to see from the outside her come back to running, even in the last few months here, has been totally different than maybe the 3-4 years before that. So that's Alicia. My name is Adam. We've been married for almost 13 years here. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, yeah, January. So we just turned 13. Alicia's birthday's coming up. So we're coming up on that. We just went over our anniversary. So 13 years married. I was along, obviously, while we went to D.C., and I was part of that running store a little bit more on the racing side. I didn't work for them, but I got to know the owners and the managers and some of my best friends out there. In Washington, D.C.
It felt like you worked there. You were part of the game.
I was in there all the time. And really love that crew. And really in the D.C. area with Potomac River Running is where we started to see our involvement in the running community shift a little bit. So both of us have a really competitive entry point into running, whether it's middle school, high school, and then we both ran NCAA college here at the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. But then this shift kind of happened where it's a little bit more community-based. It doesn't really matter how fast you are. A lot of folks are training for the same event, but might be running a lot slower or faster than you. And it's kind of this group effort rather than, cutthroat competitive. Although we still did compete, and I like to run fast. I like to try to beat my old times and things like that. And it's still fun to do that, but to have it be a little bit more laid back as far as the group mentality goes than some team aspects is helpful. And we saw where a local retail store can actually be a good spot to engage different members of the community and different ability levels, especially with running. So whether you're running for the first time or the 10th time, or you're fast or slow, that's why our slogan for this whole podcast, if you didn't catch it on the intro, is fast or slow, let's go.
And that even went with the people that worked at Potomac River. Like we had River Running, we had like pro athletes literally like training for Olympics there. And then we had people that like played hockey and they just ran as kind of their off sport. We had a guy that played in a band and just liked to run. So
well, one of the main managers was like a hockey referee. Like that was his thing. He was big into hockey and he ran, 3, 4, 5 times a week, 2, 3, 4 miles at a time and loved it. But it's not like everybody was a collegiate athlete or everyone even cares about racing against a clock or an official event. So that's one of the things that we're really big on here at Blue Ox Running is to include everybody. And we know that everybody's entry point into running could be totally different. So one of the themes of the podcast, one of the themes of the podcast here is that I want to kind of just show the community and show Eau Claire and whoever can listen to these what I get to see almost every day when I work here. And that's the stories that come through the door. So how I best describe it is we're all kind of the same but different. right? We're all kind of going through the same motions of maybe getting up early and running, or maybe some of you, wait till the end of the day to run or on your lunch hour, but we all might have to find time to run. There's some commonality there. We all kind of get through the stressful times in our lives, maybe with exercise. There's all kind of these common themes that you can use running for. But we're all different as well. Some people care about racing, some people don't. Some people started and their entry point into running is at a young age. Some people, it's at an older age. Some people came from a different sport. Some people came really competitively and have changed from that. So we're all kind of the same, but different, especially in the process to where we know running can be a healthy outlet for us. And we've experienced that probably more in the last 5 years on the non-competitive side with mental health and stress relief and getting over injuries than when we were just, competing on the cross country and track teams. So I get to hear a bunch of cool stories throughout the week, and we want to share those with you. I mean, we've got some really cool stories lined up for you. We have people battling cancer that have overcome it. We have people that are going to run through the Grand Canyon with their family members. We have people that have been really competitive but now have an illness, and we want to share those stories with you guys. What else? When did we move back to Eau Claire?
Just last year.
Yeah. So we opened the store in October 2017. Right now it's January or now February of 2019, so we're almost a year and a half in. But we moved back to Eau Claire a couple months before the store opened. And before that, there was a long chain of events that happened to even, see if this was going to be doable. We reached out to a handful of community members. One of those was Matt Evans that we're going to interview on our first interview here in episode 2. So it's been a long journey to get back to Eau Claire. We love it here. This is where we met each other right up there by the...
We held hands up the big hill.
When's the first time that you saw me? Because I know the first time I saw you.
Oh, yeah. Playing mini golf.
Mini golf. Good old mini
Which
golf.
we still
behind the
like to
Pizza
mini
Hut.
golf.
So now, actually, that's a funny story. We came back to
With
Eau
our
Claire
kids.
with our kids. Now we have 3 kids from age... 4, 6, 8 right now. So we came back with our kids. We're like trying to tell them, this is where we met. This is where we went to school. We were younger, blah, blah, blah. And we went to go drive to where we first met. And it was like behind that Pizza Hut on Claremont. And we're going to show them, and we're all going to go mini golfing. And I'm going to this is a big moment in the Condit family here. And we go there and it's like bulldozed. There's no mini golf anymore. It was kind of depressing. It was very anticlimactic.
So instead we got Pizza Hut.
We just got pizza. So it was fine. But we have some long-standing roots in Eau Claire. I won't get into all that now, but we put out a video just kind of before we actually opened the store so people kind of knew our journey back away from Eau Claire. We lived in Madison, we lived in Washington, D.C. for a while, and most recently Iowa, and then back to Eau Claire. So we're glad to be here. And one of the things that I wanted to do on this introduction episode, which is going to be a little bit shorter than our interview episodes, but to just, basically get into why we would ever, quit our jobs elsewhere. And I used to be a engineer and a teacher, but Alicia, what has your jobs been? You mentioned the running store, but what have you been up to the last 8-10 years?
Yeah, well, how we even found this spot in college, I actually worked at Hooligans. So our landlord is owner of Hooligans, but that's way back.
Yeah.
But I have a degree in org-com, or long word organizational communication. So I worked in HR for like a year and a half and knew I wasn't going to be able to sit at a desk for the rest of my life. And then I became a stay-home mom once we started having kids after the running store. So I worked at the running store for a while, and then I made the decision that I wanted to be home with my kids, which I love doing. I still am mainly home with them. I help with the business when I can, and I want to be a great support to Adam, mainly working here, but I do all the work at home.
Yeah,
Most of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot more snot and poop happenings at home, although not by much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that was
never
a couple
know.
of years ago.
Are you saying your snot and poop went down at home or it went up here at the store?
Oh, up? I don't know.
A little of both?
Yeah.
All right, we won't get into that. So anyway, my quick 5-second, career journey. I don't know if I could say it in 5 seconds. I went to school here for math and physics. At the time and still now, I believe Eau Claire doesn't have an engineering program. So I went and got my master's in engineering, mechanics, and astronautics in Madison right afterwards, right after we got married. And my first job out in D.C., that's what brought us out to D.C., was a systems engineer with Lockheed Martin out with some defense stuff out in the D.C. area. There's a lot of jobs like that out there. So I was a systems engineer out there, and we moved back to the Midwest to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, when we started having kids, like Alicia said, wanted to be closer to family, and I worked for Rockwell Collins, which is now Rockwell Aerospace. But then in the middle there, a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I got my license to teach high school math, and I was a high school math teacher for a while. Loved that job, loved the kids, missed the kids big time, but we really felt a call to put this plan into action sooner than we ever thought possible when we kept looking at Eau Claire, and we kept surrounding ourselves with maybe 3 or 4 different running store owners that were really generous with us, opened up their books, showed us what they did to open a store in a city maybe similar in size with a couple of them to Eau Claire. And the more we reached out and looked at Eau Claire and saw the Eau Claire Marathon growing and saw some of these other groups and the fitness community growing even in the last 5 or 6 years, we thought it was doable. And we are still going strong here after a year and a half. We've been overwhelmed with how well the community has received not just us, but a brick and mortar store downtown. People like to shop local. They like to feel like they're being serviced well, and that's what we try to do. So we love putting on events. We love doing the little things that you're not going to get anywhere else. And I guess this podcast is part of that. We want to show people not just the running shoe that you can get. I'll talk running shoes with you all day long, but the stories and the people and the passion that people have about running is what really turns me on in the morning. So we're here, and what we wanted to do was kind of mimic the flow of our podcast by not just like interviewing each other. You guys maybe have a good idea of who we are already. So we're going to get out of the way the rest of the episodes. Like, we want to share your guys' stories. This one is a little bit more centered on who we are, but we're going to get out of the way the rest of the episodes to hear your guys' stories. But the last thing we wanted to do today was kind of mimic what we'll finish every episode with. Right, so we're gonna have an interview maybe, and then who knows how long those will last. And then at the end, we're gonna do a speed round or an interval workout, we'll call it. So those are a little bit more fast questions,
and they don't have to be running related,
right? And they don't have
anything.
They
can be running related.
They can be running, and the important thing is that people don't know that what's coming to them. So it's just kind of rapid fire. They got to answer it. And you got to kind of keep it moving rather than a long drawn out answer.
We do not know these questions.
So we're going to model that. We each have a couple questions for each other. Are we going to alternate or what? We have 3 each.
Sure.
All right. You want to go first?
You go first.
No, you go first.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I don't care.
I'll go.
All right, you go.
Favorite thing to do with your kids?
Oh. Well, it's got so all 3 kids?
Yeah.
All right.
Come on, rapid fire.
Okay, I just tackle them. Just wrestle.
Okay.
Just like we're always flying around downstairs. Yep. All right, what's your favorite place to run in Eau Claire?
It's a path around the university track, and I get down to Putnam that
The gravel?
way. Yes.
Yep. Very good. You go.
Oh, yeah. Your current running shoe?
Current one? I mean...
Yeah. Pick one.
I've got about 5 or 6 going right now. I guess the one I ran in yesterday was the Ultra Paradigm. Need a little bit more cushion with my old frail bones. Our most memorable vacation of all time.
If rapid fire, the first thing that comes to my mind is Arizona.
Oh, with me?
Yeah, that was before kids.
Oh, that makes me happy inside. All right. Oh, you go.
So this is kind of a trick question. What are your Valentine Day plans?
Oh.
Do you have any?
Of course, I've got Valentine's Day plans. It's to spend it with you and to just be very loving and go to a place with food to eat.
So we'll see what actually happens that day.
Stay tuned. I do have Valentine's Day plans, by the way.
He just won't tell me.
I will not tell her. And she hates surprises, which is why I love surprises. All right. Last question for you. Put you on the spot a little bit. Of our 3 kids, which one is your favorite?
You know I have an answer for this.
Are you ready to tell the world?
No.
Okay, we'll keep that a secret for a while. All right. So Alicia just broke the rule on episode number 1, and she didn't answer. But we're going to expect quick answers. We're going to close the episodes out like that.
And I do love all my kids, FYI.
Well, you love them all, but that doesn't mean you can't have a favorite.
True.
Okay. So we're going to shut it down. It's been about 20 minutes. I know that we are looking at recording our other episode. Episode number 2 might be longer. But stay with us. I know I listen to some podcasts that are 3.5 hours long. Some are 2 hours long. We're not going to be that long. But, runners, you have time to run. Some of you run with headphones. You can listen to these whenever. We're probably going to be releasing them once or twice a month to start, so we don't do too many too quickly. We've got some really good stories lined up, and we'll just see what the appropriate amount is. And of course, they take time and stuff for us to do, but we love doing this kind of stuff. This is literally why we open the store, to get into what we find is important in the running community. So with that, we're going to end the session, and we'll get you out on our outro music. But once again, our logo for the whole store, our whole, what's it called? A tagline?
Motto?
Our tagline, our motto for the whole store, if you come on Thursday night, 6 p.m., is fast or slow, let's go.
Fast or slow.
Let's go! Fast or slow! Let's go! Fast or slow! Let's go!
All right, everybody, check us out on blueoxrunning.com. You can get the Facebook, the Instagram, all of our social media, and find the podcast. We'll see you next time.